Hello, welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. I know it's been a minute. Oh my, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I feel like I've been saying this for so long in my own personal life, but I feel like I keep getting ripped to shreds. And then I put myself back together. And I'm like, cool, this feels good. This makes sense. These pieces fit. And then not long after that, I feel like I'm ripped to shreds again. More so, obviously, energetically. And I think in big part that is because number one, maybe not even in any type of particular order, but like a culmination of all of these things. Jupiter is in my 12th house. And the last time Jupiter was in my 12th house is actually when I started my actual, real, and really a better word for that is intentional healing. I met a mentor at the time that really helped me unpack a lot of my subconscious shit. Literally, I think I cried for the first at least 3 weeks when we first started working together, before I was able to kind of start making practical, steps forward. So that was back in 2012. And literally, because I asked this person the dates of all of these things, and granted, they're not exact, but they're pretty close. Because this person has a defined head and ajna, on the human design side of things, and is just they remember everything. I'm pretty sure they've said they remember their own birth. I have an undefined head and ajna, so it's just shit is just swirling around in there. I remember the most random stuff, but not my own birth. So anyway, if you've made it this far, I will. A part of me is I might make this its own separate video, but the other part of me is it's probably going to end up being the intro, and I'll just put a time stamp in the description for when the actual reading starts if you don't want to sit here and listen to me ramble, because my defined throat, I have to ramble for a second. So bear with me. So anyway, back to my little ramble. How do you like my new setup? We'll see if this spot becomes permanent. It's at least temporary. We'll see how it goes, but I love it. I love the little plant vibe going on. So anyway, Gemini, Jupiter, that's my 12th house. And there is, it's this, first of all, it's a deeper understanding even of myself over the last 12 years, right? Just the work that I've put into myself, to understanding how I even became the person that I have become. And are there things that maybe I want to change that are just no longer fitting into my life, or I'm finally realizing aren't fitting into my life, which is the next thing. So Pluto, OMFG. Pluto has been squaring my natal Saturn since it went back into Capricorn, I have a 29-degree Saturn. And, Pluto has been at 29 degrees for the last, I don't know, however long. And not to mention, even before, right? Because it went into Aquarius for a sec, and then it retrograded back out. So Pluto has been squaring my natal Saturn for, I honestly have no effing clue how long. Not to mention, I have a 27-degree Pluto that's conjunct my Saturn at 29 degrees. So at some point in the last couple years, Pluto was squaring my natal Pluto. So, so yeah, that is also a bit uncomfy and has been a bit uncomfy. And I do feel like I'm finally starting to realize that, again, just the things that I was doing, how I was operating in my life, how I was operating in my relationships, how I was even approaching work and my idea of work and my whatever. I feel like I'm starting to finally get the clue on all of that. And quite frankly, I am excited for Pluto to just be away from from my Saturn, from my Pluto. I don't know, I'm not so educated in astrology to know, when that relief will start to come. Like, how far does Pluto have to be in Aquarius in order for me to feel a little bit of relief from that? Not to mention, too, Neptune was squaring my natal Neptune for the last, again, I don't know how long. I have a 28-degree Neptune. So there was that going on. Saturn has been tap dancing on my MC degree. Like, I think it made it to the exact degree that my MC is, and then it went retrograde. So it got there, and then it was like, oh, nope. I just heard that Aaliyah song, back, forth and forth. Because that's how, it seems like there's just, obviously, right? A lot of that going on with retrogrades and all of this stuff. So Saturn made it to my MC, which is in my 9th house. And then it went backwards. And then at some point it's going to go forward again and go over that bitch one more time before it leaves the sign entirely. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in my 10th house. But I don't have any placements there, so it might be okay. But, and it's loosely opposing my moon right now. So, oh, and Uranus is almost right on top of my Chiron. I have a 27-degree Taurus Chiron and a 28-degree Taurus Sun. So, that's coming up at some point. All of that is to say that, I have not been consistent here in this space. And that has caused me a lot of anxiety because I really do enjoy showing up here. I really enjoy the expansion that this space, that, tarot readings, that, connecting with you guys offers. And I cannot guarantee that it would be more consistent going forward, but I want to, it is on my list of things to prioritize. The first thing being myself, because I really have not done that. I tend to sacrifice my own well-being, and that has been something that has, it's been at the forefront. So if you are still here, I am so glad And I want you to know that I do think of you often. What is so funny is that, okay, I didn't even put that together. This looks like a little succulent here in the middle, and then just these flowers around the border. That's so funny. I actually, just to kind of wrap this up, because now I don't even know what I was talking about before I realized that, but I was actually I was grabbing my microphone actually, and then I look over to where like I have all of my tarot decks crammed into this one shelf, and I was like, oh, I haven't used the Muse Tarot in a while, a long time actually. So I was like, do you want to do the reading? Because I always ask my decks before I even do the reading if they want to do the reading. I actually asked this deck if it wanted to be a clarifying deck. This is the Tarot of the Abyss. And this is the card that came out, the Five of Cups. So that's a no. That is a no from Tarot of the Abyss. I think I already shuffled, well, the Star card came out. The Three of Pentacles working together, the Fool. I love that. So yes, this deck was definitely a yes, but I love the coordination. That is so funny to me. So it's been 15 minutes already. If you listen to this whole thing, thank you so much for allowing me the space to share. And if you know your own astrology, if you've, if there's some crazy shit going on with you too, I would love to hear it if you feel like sharing, because I think it really does just help, to share those things, and even to just allowing other people to see you and honor you in your experience. So with that being said, let's get into the readings. Great. So this is a reading for Gemini. Wherever Gemini shows up for you, I hope that you've been doing well. What did I say? I hope that you have been doing well. That's what I meant to say. But let's just get into your reading. I switched up the spread that I'm using, so I'm not taking jumpers. I'm just going to shuffle a bunch. And then, I love that the cards are talkative. That's promising. But anyway, so it's a 3-card spread. Current energy, what's leaving, and what's coming in. And then we're going to clarify each one of those positions also. So let me shuffle these a bunch, and then we'll get your cards out. All right. I say all right, and then, okay, there we go. It has to feel right, So current energy, we have the 7 of Voices, or the 7 of Swords. What is leaving is the Muse of Emotions, or the King of Cups. And what's coming in is the 8 of Swords. I love a progression, especially when it happens, like, obviously within the same, like, reading. But, it just, to me, it shows that we're moving through the energy. So, clarifier for the 7 of Voices is the 6 of Cups. Clarifier for the Muse of Emotions is the 10 of Inspiration, or the 10 of Wands. And we have the 8 of Cups for the 8 of Voices, or the 8 of Swords. So that's interesting. The 2 8s there. You might see 8s around, like it might just kind of stick out to you. Not to mention, again, another progression, 6 7 8. Even though, obviously they're different suits, but all that says to me, again, is that we are at least moving through the energy, right? So the 7 of Swords is a card of deception, manipulation, trickery, and swords have to do with our mind. So it's our mindset, it's our belief system, truth, honesty. I even see swords as being ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to to situations, to circumstances, events, feelings, and it becomes our personality, right? It becomes our temperament. It becomes the reasons why we do and don't do things. And it's interesting that that's the card that we start with. Like in the traditional tarot, there's a figure that's like tiptoeing out of a camp and they're carrying 7 swords. I believe it's usually a 7 sword. I mean, obviously there's 7 swords in the card, but they're carrying all these swords away from their I keep wanting to say like opposition. That's not the word that, I'm actually looking for, from their enemy, I guess. And the purpose of that, right? Like they're manipulating the odds. So by taking away the other team, why can't I not think of the word? What the hell? I mean, okay. It's like literally not anywhere in my head. So fine. Team works, I guess. But like by taking away your opponent's, that's probably the word I was actually looking for. There it is. So by taking away your opponent's ability to be in an even match with you, you handicap them, right? Or they are handicapped by that. It's like they're not as equipped as you are. And not to mention too, now you have more weapons to use against them, right? So that's kind of where the whole like manipulation and trickery thing comes from, because it is also like very mental. It's like playing mental games, trying to get what you want type of thing. So it's interesting because even the foxes on here, right? Like foxes are usually depicted as being sly and sneaky. And this is the current energy. So, I mean, like maybe you are like trying to finagle things. I also see the 7 of Swords as being the card of us fooling ourselves, right? Because it can be self-sabotagey. It could be imposter syndrome too, because it's like, where are we telling ourselves these stories that are keeping us small? I think Brene Brown calls them gremlins, right? It's like when those old things come up in our mind and it all of a sudden we bypass an opportunity or don't go for the thing or whatever, right? We just kind of shrink back. But what's interesting on this card is that there's this bridge here. And then there's like this doorway, this portal. And to me, anytime I see a doorway, I think opportunity. Even, like crossing the bridge, like there's something coming up here where it's like you're bridging 2 things together, or even crossing some type of bridge. Like even, that saying, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Well, it's here, right? There it is. So now what are you going to do? And I think too, with this being in a current position and it's paired with the 6 of Cups, and the 6 of Cups is the card of the past. It's a card of nostalgia, thinking back to different times. It could be, even thinking back to when you were young, inner child too. I also see the 6 of Cups as acts of kindness, but they're holding this mirror here, which also even feels like a portal, right? So we have these 2 portals here. So there could just be something coming up from your past, right? And maybe in the situation, this is the way that you would have dealt with it. Like you would have tried to manipulate the situation to your benefit. And again, I mean, that could be what you are doing now. Not that that is, obviously necessarily a negative thing. I think manipulation has like a negative connotation to it. It really does depend on like what your intention is. Is your intention negative? Or are you working through some imposter syndrome? Because that's maybe the bridge that you're at. Working through those old feelings, maybe even working through some inner child stuff. Maybe, that inner child stuff has to do with you being manipulated. So you're like, okay, nope. I can recognize this, and that's not, I don't want that to happen again. And then what is leaving is the King of Cups with the 10 of Wands. This feels like having to be the bigger person. Like the King of Cups is emotionally mature, compassionate, empathetic, intuitive. Also, kings are the highest expression of the suit, right? So they have mastered the suit of cups. There's emotional depth there. It really does feel, and especially since we have the 6 of Cups in the current position, it really does feel like recognizing that within yourself, there has been some level of mastery when it comes to emotions. Like whatever the situation is, if it is bringing up some, childhood or inner child stuff, like it's almost like you're trusting your intuition. You're not reacting from a place of inner child. You're reacting from a place of being healed. Even if it's just like in this one, capacity, like this one specific situation, you're just noticing that even you are reacting to it differently. You are approaching it differently. You can see very clearly like what's happening if it's bringing up old stuff for you, and even just maybe recognizing how you would have handled it in the past. The 10 of Wands has to do with burden, but also I know that that's like the I know that that's the traditional, like meaning of the card, but I see Wands as also being information by way of experience, right? Like because we have all these life lessons. We go through all these things in our lives, right? And we pick up skills, we pick up knowledge, we pick up wisdom along the way. And I see the 10 of Wands as being that, like it's taking all those lessons that you've learned, all those skills that you've acquired, and it's moving forward. It's moving beyond that. It's taking that, those experiences, that wisdom, and almost like focusing the energy into something else, because 10s are also a completion. Kings, again, highest expression of the suit. There's like nowhere to go after that except for back to the ace. Same with, the 10. It is a completion. It also has to do with other people too. Like, 9s are individual completion. 10s involve other people. So if you've been shouldering the burden for other people in some capacity, that would be coming to an end. It's like being hyper aware of where you focus your emotional capacity. And then also to even just recognizing where maybe it could either be better used somewhere else, or how much it's even like dragged you down. It's interesting. We have air with water, water with fire, air with water. Again, it's like there's this undertone of, and I just kind of got this feeling about like water or cups like cooling you down. And again, it would be something where you're like, wow, I'm actually recognizing how I am reacting to these situations differently, or even, approaching or resolving these situations differently. And then what's coming in is the 8 of Swords and the 8 of Cups. So we move from the 7 of Swords to the 8 of Swords. I always see the 8 of Swords as being a self-inflicted mind prison. Because truly, like the message behind the 8 of Swords is you might feel stuck or bound or whatever, because generally or traditionally in the 8 of Swords, they are blindfolded, they look like they're tied up. But if you actually looked at the card closer, their hands aren't actually tied. They could wiggle their hands out of the ribbon or rope or whatever that's tying them up. They could then pull the blindfold down. They could then move away from being surrounded by so many swords. So it's like one of those things of like, you're literally one decision away from changing your whole perspective. However, though, I think that there is so much to be learned and to be gained in the Eight of Swords, because that's where you are going to figure out what is the story that I have attached to imposter syndrome. Why do I feel the need to manipulate, in whatever context that is? Why do I feel the need to manipulate situations instead of just seeing how they go? Instead of just, showing up authentically, communicating authentically, right? Like, why do I feel the need to manipulate things? Also, too, even whatever this bridge is, how am I going to get across that bridge? Where am I keeping myself small? Where am I keeping myself stuck? Also, too, even like really recognizing what has changed for you. Truly, right? Because I know me, especially, I don't give myself enough credit for shit. So just to be aware of how you are approaching situations differently, how you are thinking or perceiving things differently. Again, this has to do with truth and honesty. You could have discovered a new truth about yourself. And then the Eight of Cups is with it. And the Eight of Cups, it says that it is time to move on. Like, there is nothing left in those 8 cups for you. The energy has been used for its purpose, and it's time to move on. And not only are they moving on from that, but they're moving towards the 9 of Cups, which I know we don't have out on the table, but the 9 of Cups is wish fulfillment. It's recognizing what you want out of life. It's recognizing your worth, your value. How do you emotionally want to feel? What emotionally makes you feel fulfilled and purposeful? So it's like discovering what that is. And again, I love that we have the double 8s here too. We have this progression from the 6 to the 7, even though, they're different suits, but still, like I said, like, I feel like you are literally like really moving through big energy, like fairly quickly, or at least this can be done fairly quickly. What mindset or belief system, thought pattern, story, gremlin, whatever, like, what is no longer serving you that maybe has been around for a long time, obviously, since childhood even, and what is true for you now? What do you want to be true for you, right? Because the 8 of Cups, again, it's making a decision to move beyond, to emotionally go towards the things that make you feel good. I absolutely love this for you. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.